giving him pets. Yes. And then I got Hamilton, the other one. What? Is that what you want? Alright, so I don't know what team I'm going to choose, but let me show you the settings we're going to use. This is pretty generic for me at the very least. The setup options, quarter length, 12 minutes. I only play one quarter, so 12 minutes is perfect. Normalize, it will simulate the games, normalize them to whatever simulated quarter length is, which should always be 12. You could choose how many games you want, autosave always on. My favorite type is to put finals at 1 and then 5 and then 3 for for conference finals. It kind of raises the stakes and makes the finals to me a bit more ultimately important, but we're not going to fuck with that this time. Team chemistry, it doesn't matter as long as you have morale off. That's all that matters because adding the morale issues sometimes it often messes up. Chemistry is important uh, when you have a dynasty. No, put you on the ground. Is that what you want? Yeah. Yeah, I gotta watch this fucker for a minute. He's only 4 weeks old, so the good luck kitten, 4 weeks old, needs a lot of work. If you start eating that, you little fucker. Did you eat it? You don't do that. You know that. Come on. Come out. Eating cat litter, you nasty shit. Little baby nasty shit. Hopefully he doesn't get lost over there. Nah, he came out. He's playing. Draft class quality, you can keep it. I like to keep it at 50. Salary cap, turn that all the way off for this challenge. It's gonna be fun. I want to have fun with this, and this is gonna have fun. Trade override off. Stipend rule off. I hate that rule. Trade approval off. Trade frequency, I like to turn that up to 60 every once in a while. It pops. There's a lot more trades, a lot more unrealistic trades, but I kind of like it. Injury severity. Progression, I always put it at 60. And training effects at 60. It helps them reach their potential way earlier, but you could build a lot more effectively once they reach their potential because you could start shifting pieces. If you already know what they're gonna develop into, you can start cashing in a bit earlier and stuff like that. But morale, turn it off. Turn it off. Don't need it. Don't need none of that. We're gonna turn up the injury frequency of CPU and user to 60. Don't want to turn up too much more, but it brings in the ultra realistic factor of injuries, even to star players in my main save. Wizards, I traded everything away, cashed in on what we had, and yeah, I freaking figured it out. Let's start with a team. I could do the Crying Jordans. But I don't know. We could do Sacramento. They're spinning the tires. We could bring glory to New York. Magic. I wouldn't mind doing at this moment the Mavs. Well, no, because they just drafted Luka and they'll be solid forever. Nets. maybe. The Pacers, I guess. Pelicans for sure. Let's go with the Pelicans. I like that. We still have AD, so we can build around AD. I can't do that then. Oh, it's too late. I have to do the Pelicans. Okay, it's not gonna be that hard, I guess. I don't like doing any of the scouting stuff. It's not as necessary for me. I do everything else, so. Hmm. Let it load real quick. Oh, never mind. I could have chosen Dallas. They had not yet chosen Luka. So we got NOP, New Orleans Pelicans. So let's look at this roster. Jrue Holiday we could cash in on. Frank Jackson, there ain't gonna be much of a market for him. He's gonna probably end up being our third point. Rondo's hitting free agency. That's something to keep note. A bunch of shooting guards. What? Hitting free agency, Charles Cook, DeAndre Liggins, Ian Clark, Crawford, not Itwan, but I could probably cash in on his contract. Somebody will want him as a probably pretty solid backup. I got him. Darius Miller hitting free agency, Solomon Hill not, but we could probably cash in, package deal him with him and Etwan Moore and Solomon Hill get something out of it. Nikola Mirotic hitting free agency, 80 definitely not. DeMarcus Cousins hitting free agency, and Mika Okafor. All of our centers except for Alexis Ajinka. Yes. Alright. So let's just go to league meetings. So there are things I want to immediately implement as the commish, owner of the Pelicans, because they decided to be terrible for that long. We definitely want the playoffs. This is the most important thing. 1 to 16 playoffs is way more important. It brings the 16 best teams in, nonetheless, of anything else. 8 best from each conference. You hit the best versus the worst and get the best versus the best in the end, no matter whether it's East or West. And I think All-Star, I want to go back to vote getter, so I don't have to worry about that. And that's about it for the first year. Load. Awesome. Obviously, everything's going to stay the same. There is definitely no expansion. So we're going to be playing in the top-heavy Southwest, because Mavs, Grizzlies are on their way down. They're kind of probably in the middle tier. We're not at the top with Dallas. We're both down here at the bottom of this division. So now I think I get past the lottery and I could trade. So we're projected nothing. And we got ours traded away. Lord, this is not good. This is exactly why this team is god awful. Okay, so let's go to the Pelicans. Let's get rid of Jrue. I know I could get rid of him. He's still got a lot of clout left in his name, enough to give me some value. Alright, I gotta go look for a little kitten. I haven't seen him in a minute, and I think I know where he is, so. Do you want to come up here? squirming. Behave yourself. Hey. Stop being grumpy pants, you fucking prick. Oop, that was a little kitty issue. Go Burrow. Okay, so let's look through these trades. So let's go back to number one. Bobby Portis, Jerian Grant from the Bulls. Potential. Well, I mean, both these guys are on their last year of the rookie contracts. I don't have much belief in Bobby Portis to develop much more than he is, but he's going to be a pretty decent backup for Anthony Davis. But seeing as how we do have Anthony Davis, I want to build a starting five first. That's the most important thing. Then you can start building up your depth. And part of having that starting five is having that beautiful mix of potential and age. And so we're going to go look around for something different. Jordan Clarkson, his contract based on his overall just doesn't make sense to me. It just seems a bit bloated for the amount of production I know I'm going to get out of him, especially since seeing as I could probably pick somebody up in free agency. And knowing that, I'm just going to move on. Terry Rozier, no thank you. Still backup. Not really. I mean, he could be fringe starter. He's got a year left, so he could drop into free agency next year. We could just re-sign him for, or we could just see whether he would be able to re-sign. But knowing that he's 80 overall, he's going to be asking for 10 plus million, and I'm not sure I want to pay that if I were anybody around that situation. Marcus Morris doesn't really bring me anything. He's a bit older. He's more of a backup anyways, and I'm losing my second round pick. Lou Williams could be a solid starter, and Boban a solid backup at this point. He really doesn't peter off. As a matter of fact, he might develop one or two more. I wouldn't say that. If you give him a development, he probably will develop one or two, but he doesn't really decline to the point of unusable until about age 34 or age 35, so you get about a good 6 years out of him. Chandler Parsons, Mike Conley. I don't want to go older with the point, and honestly, Mike Conley's not going to be that much better, and I'm not going to pick up the contract of Chandler Parsons. I knew that the contract was a mistake to start with, and I'm not going to give up next year's first for that. And I could get rid of Etwan Moore to get John Collins. No, thank you. So I'm going to explain this. I would take it if it was Dennis Schroeder and maybe somebody else, but having John Collins in there really just doesn't set right for me because I'm not going to have somebody with that much potential in game. I mean, he only is mid-80s at most, but having a mid-80s while having Anthony Davis, I need someone who I feel like would be more comfortable being on the bench. Solving the center problem, Hassan Whiteside, one more year of him, and then letting him drop would be nice, and then having a backup with Kelly Olynyk. Yeah, but probably not. Going with a bit of an upgrade with Kemba, getting him out of Charlotte. I might take this trade because it prevents me from trying to trade Alexei Sadinka or just dropping him. But we'll look around a little bit more. 3 years from now, plus for Buddy Hield and Willie Cauley, I kind of like that. I like Buddy. He's a solid shooter. I might take this one. I'm going to come back to this one, so I got to remember that. And that other trade that I liked. I think it was Kemba. So 8 and 9, we got to come back to. Tim Hardaway Jr. and Courtney Lee. It would be nice, but there would be competing minutes, and well, no, not really, because Courtney Lee would probably drop off the face of the earth and within 2 years retire. 3 years, probably. Depending whether he hits free agency after those 2 years. So if it's after those 2 years and he hits free agency, he's probably going to retire because he's going to probably sit out a year. No one's going to want a 34, 35-year-old, like 70, like barely 70 overall. Tim Hardaway Jr., on the other hand, there's not enough potential left for me to warrant giving him $17 million a year. Josh Hart and a first for next year, I'm good. If you gave me a first for this year, we'd be talking. Evan Fournier and DJ Augustine. I'm good. Those guys are great in their own respective way, but for me, I'm not going to hop on that bandwagon. Harrison Barnes and Dwight Powell, no, not. Rondé Hollis Jefferson, Jeremy Lin. It's a solid duo. I have to consider that. And just a big swap for Jamal Murray, somebody who's 21, would be our point guard for a while. Hopefully, I don't know about his potential, but maybe we could work on that. Blake Griffin, no thank you, not gonna happen. I can't even talk about that one. Next year's first and Ryan Anderson, I'm not gonna pick up a dead contract like that. DeJounte Murray, and a 2 years from now first. Gonna quickly look through the rest of these. T.J. Warren and Tyson Chandler, and maybe I like Warren, but he's on the first year of a $50 million contract, so we'll see. Zach Collins and Al-Farouq Aminu. No, I'm good. Sean Livingston, nah. Kelly Oubre Jr., maybe. I kind of like that. And Thomas Satoransky. I mean, Satoransky only has 1 year left. I don't know. Oubre and Thomas Satoransky. Okay, I already got that. Bobby Porter. Okay, so we're back there. Oh, I really like those 8 and 9. Those are the only two that made me want to go. So I really like this Kemba one, and it would be really good for both Kemba and AD, because getting rid of Drew would have somebody who would give AD the ball but could also score reliably. He's got a track record of it, and he's still got a bunch of years left. We could re-sign him. And this one, Buddy Hield and Willie Cauley-Stein. Lord. I'm going to go with this one just because I like... Buddy Hield's a really good three-point shooter, and he could work on his potential, get him to like almost a 90 overall, and he a lights-out shooter. And he just got good handles once he gets up there. His defense it's okay. It's about average. Willie Cauley-Stein is always a solid center or fringe starter. You can make him develop into a pretty solid starter, Steven Adams-esque, if you will, and I'm only going to give up an unprotected pick for a couple years from now. Hopefully that won't be coming back to bite me, but I can only tell because I'm basically tearing down a team. And Jrue Holiday, somebody I didn't really want to keep around for too much longer. So now, Etwan Mill, Saul Mill, and if I could throw in Alexis Zinka, could go. How about okay, so I can't do 4. So I'm just looking through this real quick. Almost everybody will give me something for this package. It's chump change. It's middle of the lineup at best for all these combined. I'm gonna just cash in for some draft picks. I just don't really feel like taking in players when I'm just trying to. All right. How do you even trade that? Awesome. Getting draft picks, cashing in, staff signing. I'm not a fan of Alvin Gentry. Nothing against anything other than in the style of basketball he coaches with is just not preferred for the modern NBA, and I want to move this team a bit more modern. I'm gonna look through a lot of these guys, so let's do it. Fred Hoiberg we could bring in. Luke Wallace, even Ty Lue. Ooh, I like that Ty Lue. Or an Aiden Anderson. The potential of these guys. I might just let's see. Ooh, Owen Cooper is another good pick. Daniel Weber. Let's just look through these just to see. There, I could sign Jerry Stackhouse. Very confused. Okay, so I like the Fred Hoiberg signing. I kind of like just the perimeter centric. It really plays a bit. Well, no, ooh. I mean, I guess the pace and space works, but I just don't like the way he executed it. His play calling has always been a bit was always a bit suspect, and he wasn't going to lead the team anywhere. And I think that's why it was changed, even in real life too. So. Oh, I think of all my options, Mike Stafford just wants so fucking much. That's why I'm just gonna go with Fred. He doesn't want all the money in the world. I can give him a decent contract, and I haven't had luck with them. I'm going to put it like that. That's saying something, is because I just haven't had luck with Fred, and that's never a good thing when you're going in and you're just like, I don't know. I'm gonna get Brian Lee. CFO is probably the one that doesn't matter the most to me when you're in this position. GM, assistant GMs really help you. And mine is terrible. That's not what I meant to do. Yeah, let's get some Abraham Navarro in our lives. Alright. After this is the slow part. And it's ultra important for the first year of your franchise to really get your head coach, because that really says a lot about what you're going to do. And for me, signing Fred Hoiberg here, we'll just say that we want to shoot a bunch more threes, and maybe he's just a stepping stone, but we'll see. So let's just go to the draft. There's a bunch. Oh. Uh, Nobody wants him. Uh, well, I just gotta make this into something. There's nothing that I want from him, though. Never good. Never good when they don't have that potential. They need this pick. Well, I need insurance, and a lot of it. I have plans for that second round pick. That's all. Okay, so if I take out this one. Okay, so I guess taking away one of those picks was better. Okay, so now we. Oh, trading Anthony Davis for the shits and gigs. Uh, I always choose Luca. Let's go with something else. I choose Trae Young a lot. Honestly, if I were to choose, it would be Jaren, and I choose him a ton too. I've chosen him a ton too. Yeah, over DeAndre. So for this, uh, Mikhailuk. I already know he's got pretty solid 3 point, and he becomes really good. Javon. Hands down, Javon. If you get him, if you put a bunch of every single year, put like potential boost on him in the offseason, and he will become solid. He's got really smooth handles, and he gets a super consistent jump shot by the time he's about mid 80s. It's top of the league. Like in my Wizard save at All Star break, 2 years into his career, or a year and a half into his career, he was shooting almost 50% from three on a ton of shots. Well, not on a ton of shots, but he was taking him and making them super efficiently. Yeah, it's a horrible pick, but if you looked at what the heck we just did, so I want us to keep Cheick Diallo. Yeah, why not? It can't hurt. I mean, honestly, he's probably not going to be playing starting minutes. So, yeah, don't keep him. So, now, our roster looks pretty... So, we don't have to. We could address the shooting guard later. So, we need a small forward and a real point to start. So, the thing is just because the salary cap is off doesn't mean I get first dibs. I'm going to take stabs at these guys. We're just gonna put in our money, and we're gonna offer him all the money he wants, and then no trade clause. Point. You know what? Screw it, dude. I will give him his 5-year contract if he's gonna take it, dude. And no trade clause. I like giving those incentives because they do like them. Yeah, and Charles Clark won't take it. And just clearing our books. I like to do this every year. This first year is always the worst for some teams. That's fine. I got Kevin Durant and DeMarcus Cousins. So that's not super team or yet. When he develops, it will be a super team. He's 18. He's got a long time to develop. It'll seem really slow, but he's going to be a defensive monster and pretty good in the post, and I mean generally all around offense. Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins. We got our centers figured out. We don't have to touch centers anymore. We need a backup power forward, a backup of everything except for point. So we need to figure out our point situation. I declined. Yeah, and that's what I get. That's what I get. Well, we're gonna give him we're gonna give Elfrid Payton a 3-year contract because his potential sells, and then backup shooting guard, a true backup, and I don't need someone. I just need someone who could shoot a 3. KCP will be perfect on the bench, and I'll give him a 4-year contract because he's 25. I want to keep him around for a minute. And then small forwards. This one could be a bit higher of an overall, because you want someone consistent someone who's really good. There it is, Nick Young. I'll take you. 2 years. KCP took it, and the other two took it. So now let's look at our roster. So we need a backup power forward too. So I like signing Montrezl Harrell, but let's see about some of these other names. Jeremy Grant is super good, but not a great jump shooter. So he's hyper athletic. He can develop to be somewhat quick, but it just can't always shoot. If you focus on his shooting in the off season, then that's when it will get good. You know what, Mike Scott? I like that and then your third guy will want to be like a 69 to 71 overall, just guy who has a bunch of potential. at the very least B, so you make it at least decently worth it. It doesn't matter how long you sign them. I like to sign them for about 2 years, and anything less than like, um, you know, nah. Amy, I will give him a big boy contract, just a bit because his potential is not out of the roof, but so now we need a 70 overall small forward and a backup point. Let's go Quinn Cook. Yeah, 2 years, 11 million maybe. 10.33 if he'll take that. And then I gotta check it again. Small forward, okay. And then it's that, yeah, okay. I figured as much. Oh. There's no real solid pick from these guys. Oh, there it is. So this guy might stick around for a bunch of years. That's all I need. Somebody just to fill out that money-making spot. There it is. And now we finish off the rest of this offseason. Alright. Continuing on. So player progression. There shouldn't be tons. This first one, there should be older players getting terrible. And that screwed up. So this is where things get a little bit dicey. I need a new backup small forward because of this. Nick Young is not going to cut it. So that's our first mistake there. I actually probably should have predicted Nick Young doing something like that. You lost your position, Nick. And then I can't look at him until after Summer League. I don't pay attention to the Summer League typically unless I'm really excited about a guy that I don't know about, or it's like a new draft class year. In All-Star City selection, although you can change the city, I like for storylines to keep. And this one is always Charlotte first year. That's where it was going to be. Auto-generate rookies. Awesome. I don't like to download classes that much, even though realism is part of the game. Part of it is like, what does this world think is going to happen? Who has been developing in this world? First one goes to Buddy. Once you get and second one will go to Give it to Alfred. I need him to be a bit. I want him to be worth me hoping that he'll be good. So, this is where I'm going to give you the biggest piece of information. This one is going to be consistent. The lineups you're going to be doing, and this are the most balanced way to do it. I like to keep one full set of, like, a set of starters and a set of backups of the same position, 1 through 5, even. And it's a great way to get your young guys developing, and it teaches defense, and your defense will become better. It will become more consistent, and then you'll notice that there are going to be a lot of closer games, but there's going to eventually be a lot of games you won in dominating fashion, just the same. Help defense is going to stay at 50. Run plays, I've changed it a bunch. Generally, I keep it around like 15, but recently I've been changing it to 25 to give the coaches saying, yeah, every once in a while you could throw a play in here, but it needs to be, I don't like playing zone myself. It's not really effective in today's NBA. You got to be really face to face. You got to be able to switch and stuff like that. The zone really is just not effective as it used to be. Bench depth 10. Like I said, five starters, 5 bench players. Bench utilization, keep it at 40. Because that relies a bit more on the starters, but throws in the top couple of or it relies heavily on a top about 3 guys off the bench, and then the other 2 are just getting a couple minutes. The other last 2 guys are getting less minutes, and they're probably lower overall, getting older or whatever, and not being as effective in bigger doses. Those last 2 are more flex positions for those guys that need minutes or are just kind of in twilight years mode. Lineup performance factor, it doesn't matter to me too much. I keep it at 10. Young, old, typically I keep it at 50 because I really think having some older players out on the court while they're still younger really brings that level of maturity and composure, and those guys are consistent in clutch moments. And I think it really helps having guys splattered through the lineup, young and old. It really helps young guys, and it really helps the old guys when they have a young guy who's trying to take over trying to take over the team, and the old guy's like, no, hold up, I got this. Or the veteran's like, no, I got this. This is still my team. You can have your moment, but remember who's boss. System proficiency preference, relatively the same. You could choose your playbook. I like to keep the coaches unless the coach's team that they were on, it was just not a great team. The Bulls were not great. And if I do that, I do it 1 of 2 ways. Freelance practice, it sometimes works. But All-Star playbook works a lot of the time because it implements every player a bit more, and it uses, I think, a playbook that was worked on by, or a combination between Steve Kerr and who was it? I forgot his name. The Raptors coach who got fired after winning Coach of the Year and went to Detroit. I forgot his name. You guys will know who I'm talking about. And then if you want certain guys to get the ball more, I usually do this. Let me do this real quick. Yep, Elfrid Payton gets that starting. That's actually really good. It relies heavily on centers. I need a small word, don't I? I don't think I signed it. Yeah, I didn't sign one yet. Give me just a minute. I need to sign one. I got. Alright, gotta go.